Alrighty, welcome to episode 72 of Before the Battle. I'm Nick Baldwin of BloodyElbow.com, and join me as always, Jed Meshew from MMAfighting.com and Wesley Riddle from MMAsucker.com. How's it going, gentlemen?
Pretty good. I see Jed's muted. I'll talk for 1 second. I think we're doing all right. How are you, Jed?
I'm doing good. I'm tired of always being the one who leads the charge here, so I thought I'd let you get in first before I came in saying I'm doing well but very tired because yet again I had to co-host the fucking MMA circus because it's Jed's MMA circus now. But yeah, I'm doing good. How about you, Wes?
I'm doing all right. Just got out of class and I've got a busy weekend ahead. Aside from mixed martial arts, kind of just a bunch of different things of work I got to do. But looking forward to talking some, I guess probably the best Bellator card
Ever.
Maybe
Yep.
ever. Probably ever.
In my, what, like
It's
6
ever.
months of
It's
knowing
the best
what
card
Bellator
ever.
is.
I said this.
It's the best.
Even
card
if you
ever.
compare, so
It's much better than
I don't know
their
if you
previous
all,
pay-per-view.
I don't know if you all agree with me. I think this Bellator card, if you were to take every single one of them and put them in their prime, this card beats probably every UFC card to ever happen.
Oh no, that's aggressive.
I think it might be up there.
What did you
I'd
say?
say top 10,
That's
top
aggressive.
5. That
Hold on.
if you
Okay,
took all of them in their prime,
what did you say? Did you
I
just
said
say
if you
this is
take-
better than...
I said if you take all the fighters on the card and put them in their prime, athletically probably a better way to put it. This might be one of the most stacked MMA cards in history.
No.
Yeah, that's aggressive.
I think it might be. I think there's such a high level of athleticism because I honestly can't think of another card that competed with this besides maybe some of the more recent cards I've seen like 200 and 205.
194.
Dude, I don't know card numbers.
202. This is a great Bellator card. This is even a great, say, typical UFC card, but the UFC still beats Bellator. The best of the UFC is better than the best of Bellator.
Bold statement.
I agree with that.
Someone's
Depends on
phone
who.
is
It's mine being a real piece of shit, but I think it's fixed now.
good.
I was
all right,
plugging it in. That wasn't me being very popular. That was my phone's really old, and it does that thing where when you plug it in, it's like, hey, I don't know if I'm going to believe it, so I'm just going to act like I'm stop starting.
Well, that was definitely all your casual friends asking or saying McGregor is going to knock out Floyd Mayweather. That's what I think.
Most of my friends aren't completely idiots.
Most of mine are. I've had multiple people already tell me that Conor is going to knock out Floyd Mayweather.
You're 16, you don't have friends.
How rude. How rude. How rude.
Wrong.
All right, let's dive into wait. Before we dive into UFC Fight Night,
Proud of you.
112. Thank you. And Bellator 180. Let's go to last week's results. UFC Fight Night 111 taking place from Singapore. Overseas, we had Holly Holm knocking out Beshko Heya, topping out a very bad main card, but a very great prelim card. So, top to bottom, it was actually an okay Fight Night card. Kind of sucked that it was at 3:30 in the morning, but oh well. Overall, not too bad of a morning of fights. Holm, of course, maybe back in title contention. I'm not sure. But anyways, let's dive into our DraftKings results, our pick results, and our performance bonus results. Jed, what you got for us?
I think the reason you're remembering all of this is because you've done very well the last couple of weeks.
I'm the king. I'm the champ.
So, as far as picks goes, we have a tie for the win with 10-2 records. Both Wes and Nick. Wes missed on Kwan Ho Kwok over Russell Doan, and the Justin Scoggins. All three of us missed on the Justin Scoggins call. Nick, you missed on Scoggins, and you also missed on Andrei Arlovsky. I got 3 wrong. I missed on Scoggins, like I said. Dong Young Kim, which was a bit of a bold pick for me anyway, and I sort of regretted making. And then I picked Kim to beat Pudilova, and I believe I got robbed. I think Kim won the fight. So had I gotten that correctly, I would have been your picks champion.
You most likely slept through the Pudilova Kim fight, but all right.
I think y'all slept through it. I was doing coverage. Thank you very much.
I actually did, so there you go.
As far as our DraftKings teams go, well, looky here. Nicholas as well is again, I think this is 3 in a row
Three
at
in a row.
DraftKings. I think ever since I gave you that teaching lesson about how to win at DraftKings, you've taken the message to heart. You've put together a dominant run with the belt. I haven't even sniffed the belt in a while, and I'm starting to miss it. I'm not gonna lie. With 464 points, I mean, really just a thrashing this time out. Nick takes home the title. Despite having Andrei Arlovsky on his team to deliver 14 points. Oh, no, that was me. Yeah, you still had Andre, but the rest of your team was Russell Doan, Colby Covington, Rafael Dos Anjos, Walt Harris, and Luce Pudilova. So that was a lot of big earners, and then Pudilova did whatever. And then me and Wes just in a nip-tuck affair, Wes. I edged you by 2 points. 346 points for me. I had Andrei Arlovsky, Walt Harris, Holly Holm, Donghyun Kim, Tarek Safadine, and Justin Tuck. Justin Tuck really saved my ass. Wes, you had Frank Camacho, Rolando Dai, Walt Harris, Kwan Ho Kwok, Justin Tuck, and Marcin Tabura. So, just right there, Wes. You're just 2 points short. You are the big loser this week, though. As far as bonuses, I don't even remember who got performance bonuses. Oh, I do. Holm performance bonuses went to Holm and Sasaki. Fight of the night went to Lee Camacho. Looky here, Nick called Li Jiangling versus Frank Camacho for fight of the night. He was absolutely correct.
That is right.
None of us got a performance bonuses because none of us thought Sasaki was going to make that come from behind win over Justin Scoggins. And I had Holm Kahera as fight of the night. I did not think it would be a performance of the night bonus. So there you go.
You picked the worst. Your fight of the night ended up being the worst fight on the card.
It was not the worst fight on the card because Colby Covington did fight, but it was pretty bad.
Right.
It was certainly a very bad fight.
Well, Arlovsky Tiber as well. But anyways, I'm still the champ. I mean, no surprise, and I will always be. I'm the king. So thank you for sharing about my success, and I wish you guys well.
Now you are.
All right, we have a lot to talk about. 2 cards, and we don't see this too often, but Bellator has all of the spotlight this weekend. I kind of feel bad for Michael Chiesa and Kevin Lee because that's actually a really, really fun fight. That's a really, really fun lightweight title or matchup that, could determine a guy that's fighting the, top 5 contenders going forward. But getting no spotlight because Bellator 180, Bellator NYC, Chael Sonnen, Vanderlei Silva, Fedor, Matt Mitrione, Douglas Lima, Lorenz Larkin, Michael Chandler, Brent Primus. Just a really top-to-bottom outstanding card. But we'll start out with the UFC Fight Night 112. As I said, headlined by Chiesa.
Why are we starting with the Sunday card just because it's worse?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't go in, order of dates. I just go start with the worst, end with the best. That's sort of the way I roll. But anyways,
I'm cool with
it. I know. Chiesa Lee topping things out. We have Tim Boach, Johnny Hendricks in the co-main, which we'll get to later. We're not gonna go through every single fight. I guess we'll give our picks for every single fight and break half or more down. So we'll start out with the first fight of the night. Joshua Stansbury, Jeremy Kimball. This is one of the ones where I'm just gonna say a pick. You guys do whatever you want. Jed informed me before we went on air that he can do whatever he wants. So Jed, Josh Stansbury taking on Jeremy Kimball. Who's your pick here?
Josh Stansbury is not fat, and Jeremy Kimball is. And that is going to be the extent of my analysis here. I'm picking Stansbury because I think he's a better athlete, a better fighter. Jeremy Kimball doesn't really need to be in the UFC, and I think he won't be after this loss. Josh Stansbury with, let's say he gets him down and taps him out in the second round.
And Wes, Stansbury or Kimball, who's your pick?
Pretty much nothing to add. Jeremy Kimball, he's been choked out quite a bit. Stansbury, his go-to are looking for submissions and looking for takedowns. So I've got Stansbury, exact same pick, a second-round submission over Jeremy Kimball.
Yeah, I'll complete the hat trick. Stansbury by submission. Kimball, he throws winning punches, and maybe he lands, but Stansbury seems tough. I think he survives any onslaught from Kimball. Stansbury's by submission as well. Next fight, actually one of the more intriguing matchups on the early prelim card and the prelim card. Tony Martin versus Johnny Hollywood Case in the lightweight division. Did you like Martin here or Hollywood Case?
Go to West because I'm about to burp and I need to mute my mic so I'm not disgusting people.
Alrighty, Wes. Do you have to, let a burp out as well, or are you good to go for Tony Martin versus Johnny Case?
I'm good to go. This was a harder fight, I think, for me to call, just because both have had some highs and had some lows, I guess, in recent memory. Johnny Case, he started off pretty strong in the UFC, lost his last fight, which I think was against Jake Matthews, and I don't think he's fought since. So it's been a while. Tony Martin, he's on a win streak, but at one point I think he lost 3 out of 4 fights in a row, and 2 of them had been by submission. One I know was to Benil Dariush. I feel like this fight could go either way, but based off athleticism and who I think could possibly just be able to keep the fight on the feet and probably land the better punches is going to go to Johnny Cage. So I have him picked by decision, but wouldn't be surprised if Martin can maybe squeeze that around there.
And Jed, do you like Johnny Case here or Tony Martin, who I believe might be slightly favored last time I checked, but it is a close fight. Let's just see here. Yeah, so Case is plus 118 according to UFC.com with Martin at minus 138. Who do you got here?
Ooh, well that's exciting because I'm gonna echo Wesley here. I'm gonna get in on that fancy underdog money. Johnny Case is he younger? I don't know. I feel like he's younger. I could be making that up though.
I believe so.
But I think he's just a more active striker. I think he's a good counter wrestler. A pretty good wrestler all around in general. Like he's not a bad offensive wrestler. He's a good defensive wrestler. He's just all around a more active fighter. I think he's just a little bit better in the areas that are gonna manifest themselves in this fight. I think he'll be able to keep it on the feet if he wants. I think he can probably even work takedowns if he wants, at least more effectively than Tony Martin would do so. And I think his volume on the feet will just put up points. I like Johnny Case by decision.
I like Tony Martin in this fight. I'll go with the slight favorites here. The guy is actually a fairly decent grappler. He hasn't won a fight by TKO knockout, but 73% of his 11 wins have come by way of submission. Case hasn't impressed me for a little while. When he first came to the UFC back in 2014, I was really impressed. He got a submission win in his debut, then followed that up with a TKO over Frankie Perez. But since then, he hasn't looked that good. He got a couple decisions over Francisco Trevino and Jan Krabal. Nothing too impressive in his last fight, which was over a year ago now, March 19th of 2016. He got tapped out by Jake Matthews. So, he hasn't looked that good, arguably in 2 years. And, as far as I'm concerned, Tony Martin seems to be getting better each and every day. He is the better grappler. Case is the more active striker, but Martin's striking is actually getting better himself as well. Martin, both guys are athletic. Martin has a very slight reach advantage, height advantage. That's not really going to be a big deal. It's only 1 and 2 inches respectively. But I think he can score takedowns here. I don't think he taps out Case, but I think he's actually competitive on the feet as well in this fight. Martin by decision is my pick, mostly on the mat. Next up, we got the early Fight Pass feature fight. Jared Flash Gordon taking on Michelle Canones Capo. This fight was supposed to happen a month or two back. It was pulled from the card. I believe UFC 211 could be mistaken.
Yes.
It was Gordon who got ill, I believe. So they're running this back. Reschedule it for this card. Jared Gordon, Michelle Canones. Who do you got here, Jed?
I'm taking Jared Gordon. I'm taking him because when I went back over my previous notes from past shows, I picked Jared Gordon at UFC 211. I don't recall why I picked him. I don't recall anything that I said, but you can go check out our Before the Battle video as well for that time if you want my breakdown of this fight. But since that was only a month ago, I'm just going to stick right in my lane and pick Jared Gordon again by decision.
And Wes Riddle, Jared Gordon or Michelle Canones?
I couldn't really remember before we went on who I picked, but kind of looking at the records, I feel like I went with Quinones
You
just
did
because I
not.
remember I did not.
All three of us picked Gordon.
Hmm.
I
I was
thought I
just checking
picked
out his
Quinones
win.
too until I looked at it.
Yeah, I was seeing one of his wins was over Billy Quarantillo, and he's a pretty good athlete. Um, I guess I should probably stick with my gut, or at least what my first initial gut was when we talked about this fight. And I guess I'm just going to go with Jared Gordon. Honestly, I don't really know much about either, but I do know that both are coming in with a pretty a lot of they've had some experience, and they have shown in previous performances that they look pretty good. So this could be a pretty entertaining fight. I think two up and comers that may have a lot to prove, especially in the featherweight division, which is already pretty stacked to begin with. So I'm going to take Jared Gordon, but it looks like a lot of people in Pick'em are picking him, picking Michelle Cazones. So I'm going to pick Jared Gordon, stick with whatever I picked, and can't really give a reason why, but Gordon's my pick by decision.
Yeah, a lot of people seem to be high on Jared Gordon. I've heard good things. I haven't heard too much about Quinones. I picked Gordon last month, so I'll go with him again. Gordon by decision. Next up, we got Devin Powell and Daryl Horcher. Probably a fight we're going to take a look at pretty quickly. Jed, you like Powell here or the Saint Horcher?
Why do you say we're going to take a look at it pretty quickly, huh, Nick?
Isn't that obvious?
I don't know. What do you mean, Nicholas?
Oh,
Are you not captivated by this bout?
No, it's so good. We have to let the top analysts in this game look at this fight.
Well, you're speaking to the top analyst in this game. Lucky
All right, then go for it. Boom,
so
go.
I am now going to give you an extended preview of Horcher versus Devin Powell, but I guess I won't, just because I don't want to bother.
Like it.
I don't want to bother y'all. Y'all seem really unhappy about it, but I could go for at least a solid hour on this particular bout. Instead, I will say Daryl Horcher is best known for getting the shit beat out of him by Khabib Nurmagomedov. Devin Powell is best known for
nothing.
Was nothing. Like, I don't. He's fought in the UFC before. He lost to Drakkar Klose.
That is correct.
This is a great fight to if you were trying to pick based purely on the stats that they've performed. It's amazing because Daryl Horcher has like no stats except for bad ones. He's absorbed like 9 strikes a minute, and his defense is terrible, and his takedown defense is terrible because he's fought once that they recorded stats for, and it was against Khabib. And similarly, Devin Powell's stats are shit as well. So this is really, if you're basing on not having watched these guys, and even having watched them, there's just not enough tape on them. I'm picking Daryl Horcher here.
He's a big favorite, but I don't know why. Why?
Look, he shouldn't be that big a favorite because nobody at this level should be a minus 400 favorite.
No,
but
it's true.
At the same time, if you're a minus 400 favorite, I need to have a real good reason to pick against you. And yeah, Devin Powell ain't bringing that. He's not bringing a real good. I mean, look, Horcher at least looked pretty decent for the first couple of minutes against, arguably the best lightweight on the planet, regardless of the fact that Khabib was coming off an extended layoff and stuff. Like, he acquitted himself admirably.
He made it to round 2
for being wildly outmatched. He looked not significantly worse than Michael Johnson, essentially. So,
are you saying that perhaps Daryl Horcher is as good or better than Michael Johnson?
I'm saying he's probably a top 15 lightweight right now, and this line is justified. So give me Daryl Horcher by round 1 KO.
Do you actually believe that this guy's top 15?
No, God, no.
Good. Wes,
but Daryl Horcher by round 1 KO.
Wes.
I got Daryl Horcher. I remember watching Devin Powell's fight when he had fought against Drakkar Klose, and there were absolutely no. I'm surprised he landed 22 punches. What I recall was maybe landing like 4 over the course of 15 minutes. It felt like he really didn't do anything at all, even though Drakkar's a pretty decent athlete. Horcher, I mean, I'm checking out some of his previous fights. He has victories over people that have names. Devin Powell really doesn't. And for that reason, I'm going to go stick with Daryl Horcher. I think he's just a better athlete who probably learned quite a bit more losing to Khabib Nurmagomedov than Daryl Horcher or than Devin Powell losing to Drakkar Klose. So for that reason, I'm going to go Daryl Horcher by a unanimous decision.
My pick is Daryl Horcher because he's a big favorite. I don't know why, but someone does. And he made it to round 2 versus Khabib, and Devin Powell got grounded up by Drakkar Klose. Horcher.
I mean, those are basically the same thing, really. Khabib, Drakkar Klose, tomato.
Yeah, essentially. I mean, it really depends. In that particular matchup, it really comes down to who shows up that night, who has the better night.
Pretty much.
All right, moving on. We got former strawweight champion Carla Esparza, who has gone downhill since that title fight against Rose Namajunas back in 2014. She's currently the number 8 strawweight in the UFC. She's taking on number 10 Iron Lady Marina Moroz. Jed, we'll start with you. Do you like Cookie Monster or the Ukrainian?
I want to go see this Carla Esparza because I feel like I scored her. I feel like I thought she won her last fight. Am I crazy?
Esparza, she lost to Marcos.
No, I know, but I feel like I thought she won. Oh, everybody thought she won. Okay, that's good.
That's correct. Yep.
I just checked because I was going to say I feel like that was a robbery, but honestly, I don't really recall that. Well, even you scored it, so she definitely won if you scored it for her because you never get anything right. So, yeah, I don't want to talk too much about this. I do think Carla Esparza is still a good fighter. I think she's a limited fighter. And I think she probably would benefit super hard from an atom weight if the UFC would introduce that. But I doubt that will happen in the anytime close to near future. Marina Moroz, not super good at defending takedowns. Carla Esparza, she's actually not a great takedown artist really, but she's a relentless takedown artist, man. And I think that should be enough. Like I don't see. That just seems like simple math to me. One person can't really wrestle all that much. The other person wrestles all the damn time. I know Moroz is going to be a bigger woman in there by a pretty sizable stretch, but I just don't think she has the tools to keep Carla Esparza out of her wheelhouse. How old is Moroz?
She's like 25, I think. Let me check. I'll get you. Yeah, 25.
25. Yeah. Yeah, I just don't think she has the tools in general to get it done. I mean, if you're a real young fighter, sometimes I like to pick you to thing, but like she's not gonna hit like that armbar that she got Joanne Calderwood with. Like she's not armbarring fucking Carla Esparza. So Carla Esparza is gonna wrestle her way to a decision.
All right, Wes, Carla Esparza, Marina Moroz. Who do you got here?
I was checking this one thing out about Marina Moroz, and she's fought 4 times in the UFC. And in her last 3 fights, she fought Daniel Taylor, Christina Stanciu, and Valerie Letourneau, and she was taken down once in all of those fights by all of them. Carla Esparza, Jed, you mentioned she's a relentless takedown artist, is definitely a better but a better wrestler than I think all of them, and that's because Carla Esparza.
How many times did any of them even shoot on her, though?
Now, like Valerie Letourneau.
Really sure. Valerie Letourneau almost certainly didn't shoot on her.
So I'm going to guess once, and she got it the one time that she probably did. So Carla Esparza, I mean, she definitely gets some hate because she doesn't have the best striking abilities, and all she likes to do is look for grappling. But you know what? If that can win you fights, that can win you fights. And Marina Moroz, I feel like they're just trying to build her up, but then again, she's only 25. She's still really young. I feel like this is just too big of a move, especially coming off of a having lost to Valerie Letourneau, who hasn't looked that good at strawweight recently, and then having beat in her last fight Daniel Taylor, who I thought in that fight she lost. I'm going to have to go with Carla Esparza. I think she'll get a pretty dominant, probably 30. I'm going to go 30-25 unanimous decision. If she can implement maybe some ground and pound in there, I think she'll be able to get a pretty dominant decision.
Depends on what rules we're using, though, for that 30-25, you know.
Are they going to be in place?
Fuck if I know, man. I don't know that shit.
If they are, I'm gonna go with the 30-25.
Well, you know, for me, it's certainly not going to be 10-8 rounds. It's going to be 10-9 rounds just because we're not going to see enough damage. But I like Carla Esparza quite a bit here. Marina Moroz doesn't have very good takedown defense. We saw that in the Valerie Letourneau fight in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I was there. Esparza is a very good wrestler. She doesn't do a whole lot of damage, which is why I don't see 10-8 rounds happening. But I like Esparza by 30-27 decision. I think she takes Moroz down at will and grinds out a fairly not pretty unanimous decision victory. Moving on, we got a middleweight fight between Brazilian Vitor Lex Luthor Miranda taking on Marvin Vettori, the Italian Dream. Jed, do you like the Brazilian or the Italian?
I mean, I don't even know what we're doing here, guys. I think this is one that I won't actually say much on. Marvin Vettori is going to beat up Vitor Miranda because he's better. He's just better. He's a better fighter, and Vitor Miranda lost to Chris Camozzi. So, yep, Marvin Vettori.
I like that reasoning a lot. Wes, Marvin Vettori or
Marvin Vettori is at least as good as Chris Camozzi.
Yeah.
So Vitor Miranda is going to lose to him.
MMA math at its finest. Wes, who do you got?
So I said this, I think, when Marvin Vettori made his debut. I think he's got a lot of potential. I know he just lost his last fight to ACJ, but he did have some moments in the fight that looked pretty decent, was able to score a takedown there, and the striking wasn't that bad. It's still pretty developing. He's got a lot of experience, especially for being so young. I think he could be somebody that may be able to shine in this middleweight division at some point. It's still kind of early, but I think this will be a good test for him. Vitor Miranda is a pretty good kickboxer, a pretty decent striker, but is not the best grappler. So once I feel like Vettori, if he's able to take the fight down to the ground, it's going to be pretty dominant for him. So I'm going to go Vettori. I have him picked by a unanimous decision, and probably about a 29-28. Maybe Vitor can squeeze out the first, but his cardio is definitely a little bit lower than Marvin Vettori.
Yeah, I mean, to break down this fight, just go rewatch Chris Camozzi grinding out Vitor Miranda, and we're going to see very similar things, just more damage and probably finish. Marvin Vettori is very good on top. He's a decent wrestler, and he's a decent grappler. Miranda probably maybe has the advantage on the feet, but I don't see him keeping it on the feet really at all. I think Vettori gets him down pretty quickly, pretty, at ease, so to speak. It'll look, again, like the Camozzi fight, just quicker. Marvin Vettori, the better athlete. He's a lot younger. So I think this kid has quite a bit of potential. I like him a lot in this fight. So Vettori by, I don't know, TKO or submission, obviously on the mat, but I don't know. It's really flip a coin whether it's a ground and pound TKO or a submission. I'll say ground and pound TKO just because that's where the coin landed. Next up, we got Clay Guida taking on Eric Koch in the FS2 feature prelim. Carpenter versus Newbury. Jed, who do you got here?
Before that, did you pick Esparza, Nick?
I did, yes.
Okay, just confirming. All right. I'm taking Eric Koch because Clay Guida is washed, and Eric Koch is probably not washed. I don't think so. I mean, he might be declining a little bit, but Eric Koch's really good at defending takedowns. Clay Guida can just do that sort of steal your round by punching a lot and moving back and forth and try and get some shitty, useless takedowns. And I mean, maybe I just know. I'm not even going to make the case. Eric Koch's going to win because he's going to defend the takedowns. He's going to bust them up with sharper, crisper, more powerful striking. So even though Eric Koch has one of the worst tattoos in all of the sport of MMA, I believe he is going to beat the Carpenter.
They're all bad. But
TKO round 2. Not many of them are as bad as a tattoo that says Cokehead.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. Go look at Darren Elkins' tattoo and get back to me though. Wes, Eric Koch.
Oh God, the damage is awful. Let's make no mistake.
Yes. All right, Wes, Eric Koch or Clay Guida, who do you got here?
I don't know if I really have anything else to add. I guess I'll add this. Clay Guida, I see that his last victory came in April of 2015 over Robbie Peralta, who's no longer in the UFC. Before that, it was
fights elsewhere.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's in, what is he, World Series of Fighting now?
Last fight out was overseas, I believe. I forget against who.
Then Clay Guida's also, his last victory before that was over Tetsuya Kawajiri, who again is now, I guess, in Risen. And then before that, it was over Hatsu Hioki, who's not in the UFC anymore. So his last victory over somebody in the UFC came over Anthony Pettis, who we all know does not have takedown defense at all. And that was back in June of 2011.
Also beat him.
Yeah, I did not see that fight live, but do you think you won that?
Pettis, it was one of those fights where Pettis got held down some, but Pettis won. It looked not unlike the Eddie Alvarez fight that Pettis also won, but lost because somebody was around his hips for a while and he couldn't stop it.
That's interesting. And I kind of feel like Anthony Pettis and Eric Koch are, I mean, pretty similar athletes, the kind of the way that they like to fight. Koch is pretty just a lot better with defending takedowns, though. As you mentioned, he's 80% apparently.
And they happen to train together.
They do? I didn't even know that. So there you go. Eric Koch, I think he's just a better athlete at this point in their career. Like Guida, he's been in some pretty brutal, I guess, losses his last couple. He got knocked out pretty bad over Brian Ortega in his last appearance, which was back in June of 2016. But, I mean, Guida doesn't look bad in those performances, but he ends up just finding ways to lose in fights that he's up in, because I thought he was up in that fight until that knockout. But I'm going to go Eric Koch. I have him picked by, I think, a decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if he can get a stoppage.
Yeah, I like Eric Koch quite a bit in this fight. I was getting close to convincing myself that Clay Guida could make it close. The reason I think I almost got there was just because he actually looked all right against Brian Ortega in his last fight. He was up, I think, 2-0 going into the third round, and then he suffered kind of a weird knockout loss. But I had to remember that Brian Ortega wins third rounds by finish, and that's it. Just go back to the Diego Brandao fight.
Talk about a weird
ass
fighter, man.
No kidding.
Brian Ortega just doesn't do anything for 10 minutes, and then it's just like, oh shit, I'm way better than this guy.
Well, and then he gets some superb finish. Like the Brandao win was amazing. This was a cool knockout. Yeah,
like he remembers. Oh, I'm losing, but I'm way better. I should just win, and then he does.
Yep, exactly. It really crazy. So I think I looked at that and started to think, oh, Clay Guida's actually all right, but no, he does a whole lot of nothing. That's kind of what I think of Clay Guida. He bounces up and down, tries and wins, wins rounds with that, and strikes, as Jed said, that don't really do a whole lot, takedowns that are fairly meaningless. He doesn't do a whole lot of, I don't know how to put this, just not damage, but fight altering things, whether that's a strike, whether that's a takedown. He doesn't, I don't know. It's just really a whole lot of nothing. Eric Koch is the more damaging fighter. He's more powerful on the feet. He's crisper. I would like to think he's a bit younger at least.
Here's a question for you, Nicholas.
Yes.
Are you old enough to remember a time when Clay Guida was like one of the most exciting fighters in the UFC?
No, definitely not.
Oh, wow. I just thought as you was talking, and I was like, man, because when his first sort of run with the organization, he was like the guy. It was like, oh, Clay Guida's fighting? This fight's going to be bananas. Because it was going to be like a scramble-filled lightweight fest. Like, you're going to roll some. You're going to throw hands. His fight with Roger Huerta was fucking ballers. And then somewhere along the line, probably actually sort of near the Anthony Pettis fight, he just became, I guess almost as I'm looking at it, it was the Anthony Pettis fight. He just became this shitty lay and pray, terrible fighter who won bad decisions and was boring as hell. It's a weird trajectory.
Well, I'm looking at his record. So when was the Pettis fight? He's had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fights since that. I first saw Clay Guida, unless I don't think this is wrong. The first time I watched him fight, Dennis Bermudez.
Oh, wow. Good Lord. No, but dude, his career before then was great. Like, look, if you're on Tapology, you can go look back on it and be like,
probably stands out.
His fight with Gomi was a barn burner fight until he tapped out Gomi.
Don't forget the Sanchez fight.
Oh yeah, the Diego Sanchez fight, obviously a sensational fight. Got a submission tonight for choking out Shannon Gugarty. I don't remember the Ken Flo fight at all. The Nate Diaz fight was fight of the night. It's also did sort of look a little bit like what became the prototypical Clay Guida, take you down and not do a ton. But the Roger Huerta fight was amazing. The Tyson Griffin fight was awesome. He used to be like one of the guys for action, and then his career just turned into this terrible farce of MMA. It's so weird.
Well, that sucks that I'm 16 years old and watched Clay Guida get choked out by Dennis Bermudez for the first time. All right. Did I break this down? Yes, I did. Eric Koch, I think he finishes Clay Guida, probably submission, maybe even a knockout. Guida's always had a good chin, but he got knocked out last time out. Maybe that's going. He's, a washed-up fighter. I think Koch finishes him. I'll say submission, but again, as I said, either way, knockout or submission wouldn't surprise me. All right, moving on to the main card. I'm a little surprised, honestly, that this is opening up the main card. It's not a bad move per se, but Felice Herrig and Justine Kish is happening after this, and that's kind of sad. Got the best, the former lightweight and welterweight champion, UFC Hall of Famer BJ Penn taking on Dennis Siver, the fight that should have happened a year ago before he was booked versus Cole Miller, then Ricardo Lamas, then Yair Rodriguez, which actually happened. But here we go, BJ Penn, Dennis Siver, Jed. I know. Are you going with your boy, Baby J, or do you think Siver, sadly, but maybe more realistically, gets the W?
Dude, I picked BJ Penn to beat Yair Rodriguez. You think I'm not? You think I'm gonna pick Dennis Siver to beat this motherfucker? You're out your goddamn mind. BJ Penn is, by my estimation, the greatest fighter of all time.
You said 2 hours ago that GSP was, but all right, continue.
I mean, okay, so GSP is the actual best fighter of all time. Like, if I have to defend my argument in a realistic setting, GSP is the best fighter of all time. But BJ Penn is legitimately just the best fighter of all time. He's every fighter's favorite fighter for a reason, because he's a fucking man. And he was a fucking man, and the MMA game has passed him by. But fortunately, the MMA game is not what Dennis Siver is. Dennis Siver is a super swole. Is he German? Something like that.
That sounds right.
Yeah, super swole.
Well, it says UFC.com says Russian, but yeah,
it seems like that's wrong. But sure, he's a super swole, stocky, spinning, kicking motherfucker who hasn't fought in forever and was never like super great. To begin with, I mean, he was a competent guy. This is the guy BJ should have been fighting the whole time. Yair Rodriguez was a bridge too far for him, but I don't even think he was a bridge too far. If BJ had just taken him down, we saw how well Yair did when he got taken down against fucking Frankie. I stand by my picking BJ there. I think it made sense. I think BJ had a little ring rust, and it showed. Give him a full training camp and a rematch, he'll be fine. But BJ Penn's going to beat Dennis Siver because Dennis Siver's not BJ Penn, and I don't give a shit if that's poor analysis, but BJ Penn's the best fighter of all time, and he can beat the shit out of a mediocre German/Russian guy. BJ Penn forever and ever and ever.
You're actually kind of bang on. Siver is German, but he was born in the Soviet Union.
Oh, okay. Well, then BJ Penn is American and will do it for king and country and capitalism, and BJ's going to win because he's beat look, Dennis Siver probably is better than BJ Penn right now because BJ Penn is extra levels of wash, but I don't give a shit. If you keep running BJ out, I will keep picking him. I feel bad about watching him continually, but I'm also not going to lie to you. I will tune in for him every time he's on and hope that he wins and hope that he then retires on a win. I think he can beat Dennis Siver, and I hope he will retire. I know that he won't. He'll beat Dennis Siver, and then I'll have to watch him go fight somebody else who will beat the shit out of him because some other young up-and-comer is going to want to get that scalp on their resume. So he's going to go fight. Like, they're going to put him in against Mirsad Bektic or some bullshit like that. It's going to be a fucking horror show, and I'm going to hate it.
Penn will knock him out third round, just like Darren Elkins.
I mean, to be fair, Mirsad Bektic won't be able to take BJ down, so he's got a shot. And that's the thing. I'll talk myself into thinking BJ can beat Mirsad Bektic. I don't give a shit that Mirsad Bektic is probably going to hold the belt in the future. BJ can beat him. BJ's got this. Nope.
Because BJ Penn's going to hold the belt in the future.
No, BJ Penn could never beat Max Holloway if his entire life depended on it.
Hawaii versus Hawaii. I like it.
Yeah, BJ Penn could never ever beat Max Holloway at any point in the history.
When Jed says that BJ Penn's going to lose, you know that BJ Penn's going to lose.
I mean, Max Holloway is just a fighter of the style of which BJ would have never had to face because that fighter didn't exist when BJ fought. Because fighters get better. Like everything moves up the chain of progression. So like BJ would have never had to face a guy like Max Holloway because that guy would not and could not exist in the realm of MMA without BJ already existing. So yeah, but he would get his shit tossed in by Max Holloway. So yeah, BJ forever and ever, because I will believe he'll beat anybody on any given night. I hope he wins. I hope he retires. He won't, but he will win, but he won't retire, and that will suck.
Alrighty, Wes, do you think BJ Penn can pull this out of the hat, or do are you gonna spoil the show and pick Dennis Seaver?
I was checking out one thing, and I'm gonna bring I guess like a damper to the show. I was checking this out.
Wes.
It's not about my pick. It's about something else. I was checking out a stat that I found just by doing a little bit of research. So I'll start with Dennis Seaver. With him, he only on his whole career has 2 victories over fighters currently on the UFC roster. One of them was Charles Rosa, who's like 2-3, and then the other is Jim Wallhead, who is 0-2 and looks awful. BJ Penn.
I would be surprised if Jim Wallhead remained on the UFC roster within the next month.
So it'll be 1 whenever he gets released, because he will be. I agree. It's going to be 1, and it's going to be Charles Rosa, who's 2-3 in the UFC. BJ Penn only has 2 as well. One was over Diego Sanchez, who is still not really that great. And then the other's about to get cut as well. And that was Takanori Gumi, who looks terrible, sadly to say.
Hey, motherfucker. He also should have a win over George St. Pierre. Thank you very much.
I do agree with that. And I'm thinking, never mind. I'm thinking about.
Oh, you mean Diego? Wait, did you say Diego Sanchez? That was your first one you said, right?
Diego, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I was about to say BJ should have beat Diego, but then I realized, oh wait, he did beat him, and I saw Sanchez Gumi and thought Gumi should have beat Sanchez when they fought. Never mind. But then again, so pretty much technically, in a way, Seaver has 1, BJ Penn has 1. If you get rid of Wallhead and Gumi, because they're probably going to get cut.
Gumi's not going to cut. They're never going to cut Gumi. They'll keep trotting his corpse and fucking self out there forever. Takanori Gumi has had legitimately the worst UFC career in history, and it baffles me.
He's still there.
I know, because he's Gumi. They'll never let him go. But that's a to go to Rob.
It's the same with all sort of legends and whatnot. Like, they're never going to cut Andrei Arlovski. But
probably not.
I think they could do better with
also
Gumi in Japan.
Stevenson technically is under UFC employ because he was in the Ultimate Fighter house, and he might get a fight out of that.
That's wild to think about that. And they probably would throw him in there with somebody good, or maybe someone that he's already fought. But overall, thinking about their last 2 performances, I got to go BJ. I'm going to go a second round submission, just because at least this is the only thing I can say. BJ at least had some technicality until he got tagged by Yair Rodriguez.
That's my
so for that reason,
feeling.
I've got to go.
Going
BJ.
On their last 2 performances. Oh, you mean when BJ got his shit kicked in the most violent way possible? Going on that performance?
We could say the same about Seaver, though.
It's still just... Go, dude, his last performance was Kawajiri. It is not getting his doors blown off versus getting wrestle humps by Kawajiri forever. It's not the same thing. It just cracked me up the way you said it. Based on their last performances, picking BJ.
I should have said based off their technicality, because at least BJ still has some, and he kind of showed it in his last fight until he got tagged. But I'm going to go BJ.
Based off my heart, says Wes, I'm picking BJ Penn, and often no logic. But this is unbelievable because we are recording a podcast in 2017, breaking down a BJ Penn fight, and all 3 of us are picking the man himself, BJ Penn. This is incredible.
I'm stuck on this hill. Y'all don't have to die on this hill with me.
Dennis Seaver will probably go out there and whoop BJ Penn's ass for as long as it takes, and we'll all feel bad. Just because we got the pick wrong, but most of all because BJ Penn got his ass kicked by Dennis Seaver. But realistically, on it, I honestly think BJ Penn has a decent chance there. He's shot. Dennis Seaver doesn't exactly have tons in the tank either. But the thing is, BJ Penn, he got he got destroyed by Yair Rodriguez, but Yair Rodriguez is not Dennis Seaver. BJ Penn before that got mauled by Frankie Edgar, who is 100 times better than Dennis Seaver. Dennis Seaver is the fight BJ Penn needs. Dennis Seaver, that's the right level of competition for a guy like Penn in 2017. And I honestly believe that Penn still beats a handful of fighters today, and none of them in the top 15 or top 20 or even top 25. But Dennis Seaver doesn't, sit in either of those. He's not a top 20 fighter anymore, as far as I'm concerned. He has been in top 15 in the past 3 years, but he's been inactive for 2 years. His last fight was that boring decision against Kawajiri back in just over 2 years ago, 2 days ago. I'm going Penn because he's still, I don't know. I really don't know why. I think he's the better fighter than Dennis Seaver. That might even be a stretch. We'll find out come Sunday night. But I'm going BJ Penn. That's my pick. All right, moving on. We got Tim Means taking on Alex Garcia in the welterweight division. The Dirty Bird versus the Dominican Nightmare. Jed, who do you got?
Tim Means. Tim Means is dope and violent, and Alex Garcia runs out of gas after about 4 seconds. So Tim Means is also he's a real tough cookie, real rugged, durable guy. So even though Alex Garcia might win the first round, just because he's hyper violent, but I don't know, man. I think this is not I don't know. It's just like Alex Oliveira just handed Tim Means his ass, despite Tim Means handing Alex Oliveira his ass the first time they fought, which makes me a little uncomfortable. It just seems a little weird, but I don't know. I'm not a big believer in Alex Garcia in general. And I'm probably something in my gut says that this is wrong, that Alex Garcia is going to do this, but everything in my head says Tim Means should be able to weather whatever type of an early storm Alex Garcia does, and his volume and sort of like nasty ass inside boxing and clinch game is going to rough Alex Garcia up. And so that's the pick. Tim Means TKO early third round. Yeah.
All right, Wes, Tim Means, the Dirty Bird, or Alex, the Dominican Nightmare Garcia?
I'm going to be picking Tim Means in this one, and it's kind of just because of some of the holes I've seen Garcia's game. And a lot of it starts because Garcia exerts so much energy in the first round, usually looking for takedowns, but also throwing big looping hands. And after that, he slows down. And since he's a pretty small welterweight in the division, a little bit smaller than quite a bit of the people in the division, he kind of struggles against those with longer reaches. And going up against a guy like Tim Means, who I think probably has like a 4-inch reach advantage, is a little bit taller, and Tim Means is just as durable, if not more durable than Alex Garcia. I think it's going to come down to the cardio that we'll see. So I think Garcia, pretty much exact way you said, Jed, Garcia can take that first round because he's a very aggressive starter, but Tim Means can weather the storm. If he avoids the takedowns, I think it'll be Tim Means' game. So I've got Tim Means picked by exact same, a third round, TKO, kind of similar. I think we'll see just almost the same kind of fight that we saw when Alex Garcia fought Sean Strickland, where he got knocked out in the third. So I'm going to take Tim Means.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned with Tim Means just ever getting choked up by Alex Oliveira. He, showed that he can definitely still get taken down, but Oliveira is better than Garcia. Garcia doesn't have very good cardio, and Oliveira just does more and is all around the better athlete and fighter. But Garcia still does have the takedown threat. Maybe he gets him down. He doesn't do a ton of damage considering how strong he is. Maybe and large he is. Maybe it's surprising. But Tim Means, super nasty guy inside the cage. I think he lights Garcia up on the feet. I don't think this is going to be a quick fight. I think it goes close to the distance. I do think Means ends it late when Garcia is mostly tired. Probably looks, as Wes said, a lot like the Sean Strickland TKO win over Garcia. Garcia seems to have a good chin early, and then when he fades, his chin is also not quite there. If Sean Strickland can knock Garcia out, I'm pretty confident Tim Means can as well. Tim Means by TKO in the third round. Alrighty, moving on. This is probably going to be a quick one for us. Dominic Reyes, newcomer, the Devastator, taking on Joaquin Christensen. I feel like we've been talking a whole like I feel like Christensen has fought a lot. Didn't he fight that up and comer light heavy? Yeah, he fought Godzimer
Gadzhimurad
like a month
Nurmagomedov.
ago. Yeah, just a month and a week or so. UFC 211. Jed, do you like Christensen or Dominic Reyes, the newcomer here?
I don't know a damn thing about Dominic Reyes, but he is a massive favorite. And he has a bunch of first round KO wins. And I don't like Joachim Christensen is not very good. Like, I mean, he's okay.
It's a fair point.
But he's just like, and he's probably realistically not good enough to be in the UFC. But I mean, that
It's
doesn't really
accurate.
mean anything these days. Thing I would like to talk about here, Dominic Reyes. His nickname is the Devastator. It's a horrible nickname, but I think about it all the time with Dominic Cruz because Dominic Cruz has my least favorite nickname in all of MMA, the Dominator, because it's so stupid. Like, it's the stupidest fucking nickname because it's clearly playing off the Dom thing. That's cool. There's a gimme nickname for anybody named Dominic. Any fighter named Dominic. Your nickname should be Dominant Dominic Blank. Like, I don't know why MMA fighters in general seem to averse to like the moniker before their name, like the Sugar Rashad Evans or whatever. Like, that's doing the name before is dope. Dominic Cruz is awesome. Dominic Reyes is awesome. Dominic the Devastator Reyes is cornball shit and needs to get the fuck out of my house. So that's really all I have to say. I hope somebody here that's listening knows a Dominic that competes in MMA and they'll be like, oh shit, that dude's fucking brilliant. Dominic Machida is way better of a name than any of this other bullshit I've been running out. So that's all I have to say. Reyes is going to win. I'll say first round KO because he's got a lot of them on his record, and I don't think too much of Joachim Christensen.
Alrighty. Wes, do you like Christensen or Reyes here?
Christensen really hasn't impressed me too much in his UFC career. He's just a pretty slow, scrappy boxer, and going up against a guy like Dominic Reyes, who has really powerful hands, you can go find a couple of his fights, and he is a very, very powerful striker. I think that's just going to reign supreme in this one. The only thing I really looked at was in comparison between Dominic Reyes and Joaquin Christensen's first loss, which was to Luis Henrique de Silva. Henrique was able to rock Christensen a couple times in that fight, eventually getting the second round submission. I think Dominic Reyes is a much powerful striker, and I think Reyes is going to be able to take him out pretty early, especially the fact that these two are, I guess, competing in the light heavyweight division. Yes, light heavyweight, I'm going to take Dominic Reyes, get those 40 extra bonus points on UFC Pick'em, and I have him picked by a first-round knockout.
Yeah, Dominic Reyes all day here. He finishes Christensen early. Christensen's not a good fighter. Reyes seems to be a good fighter. He's a big favorite. He's coming off a head kick KO at LFA. I watched a GIF. It looked really good. He seems to be all right. Give me Dominic Reyes by knockout in the first round. Moving on, we got a women's strawweight matchup between Felice Herrig, the Little Bulldog, and Justine Kish. Jed, I know you have tons to say about this one.
How long do you want me to go on for here? That's really the question.
Preferably over an hour, but if you have to go slightly under, I might let that, get by.
All right. Felice Herrig surprised me in her last out. I'm not gonna lie. I thought it was gonna be a sort of straightforward win for Alexa Grasso. Alexa Grasso is very she's the hotness, or was the hotness in women's MMA that new on the come up. And
now it's Felice Herrig.
I mean, okay, that's probably not the case, but yeah, Felice Herrig, she got that. She came out and she won that fight, and she deserved that shit. It was a pretty big upset, if I recall, as well. And so I don't know how to judge Felice Herrig anymore, because losing to Paige Van Zant, just like, not even losing, she got fucking dusted up by Paige Van Zant. Like, Paige Van Zant can just beat her ass, really. And so I don't know. It's hard for me to kind of have a read on her. Similarly, Justine Kish has done nothing that jumps out or impresses. Like, can you name 2 people Ashley Yoder's fought in her career? What does anybody know Nina Ansaroff about? Like, I mean, the Randa Marcos fight, but that was back in RFA, and Randa Marcos has had a super strange kind of up and down ish career in general. So it's just, I don't know, man. I just don't know. If you want to MMA math it, Justine Kish beat Randa Marcos, who tapped out Felice Herrig, but I don't know that matters here. I mean, fuck, man. I really don't want to make a decision here. Wes, who are you picking? Because you've copied me for this entire card. You have literally all of my same picks for this card, so maybe we can break up here. I guess. Oh fuck, man! Who's the odds favor? Tell me who the odds favor.
Quiche,
The odds
last time.
favor. The odds favor Herrig, but it's close to a pick 'em. So that's not giving me a damn bit of help here. I will pick. Damn, dude. Justine Kish. I get Felice Herrig. I'm picking Felice Herrig because my gut says it. My head keeps telling me that Justine Kish seems like I don't know, like she got momentum or some bullshit. But look, maybe it's just that Felice Herrig hot. I don't know. But Felice Herrig is, I guess.
I mean, if anybody has momentum, it's probably Herrig, if we're being honest, but neither have momentum.
I mean, nobody's beaten Kish, so she's building.
Who did Kish last fight? It was
Ashley Yoder.
You can't even remember. I said it just a second ago, and you forgot because Ashley Yoder's so forgettable. I'm picking Herrig because she's been up on Instagram and she is looking fit. That girl put in the time in the gym. She has like a 23 pack. So Felice Herrig by virtue of being extremely prepared.
Are you saying that you stalk Felice Herrig on Instagram?
No, but I see a lot of various social media posts for the article I write for MMA Fighting. I see basically everybody's Twitter account every day. I can tell you everything any fighter has said on Twitter all day. It's awful. And Felice Herrig posts to Twitter and it's like, hey, this is me from week 1 on camp, where she's still like a fit person, and then week 12 of camp where it's like, oh, she's cut from wood. So Felice Herrig looking fit, and I just don't fucking know or super care here. Felice Herrig, I'm done.
All right, Wes. Felice Herrig, Justine Kish.
Nick, did you pick Tim Means?
I did, yes.
Okay, now go.
Wes?
Yeah, we've been, I guess, going on a while. I'm just going to give my pick. And I'll also say this, Justine Kish's, both of her last 2 fights, I thought she lost, which were to Yoder and Nina Ansaroff, who were not really that great. And for that reason, Justine Kish, in my opinion, her last win came in January of 2014, and that was over Randa Marcos. But that's just kind of my take on it. I just personally didn't think she won her last 2. She doesn't really have a lot of output with her strikes. You would think she would because she comes from a pretty decent Muay Thai background, but I'm going to take Felice Herrig. I think Herrig, she's got, I think, a little more momentum than Kish, because even though Kish is undefeated, her last 2 fights were really close, and Felice Herrig got two pretty impressive victories in her last 2, especially with the win over Alexa Grasso, who is probably one of the up-and-comers in the sport. So
I will say
I'm going to
this.
stick with Felice.
I just checked on MMA Decisions. Our boy Nicholas, he picked against, he scored both of Kish's last 2 fights for the other person. So, just saying.
Yeah. So yeah, I
mean, I thought earlier that I score fights terribly. So
it's true. You were very bad at it.
But I can second that. So I maybe 2 of us isn't that bad. But I'm going to stick with Felice Herrig. Maybe I wouldn't favor a stoppage just because Herrig doesn't really get a lot of stoppages. But if I would, maybe a submission. But I'm going to stick with the decision victory for Felice. And it could be pretty close, maybe some kind of split, but we'll see.
Yeah, this is going to be awful. And apparently, I just found out that I scored Kish's last fights both not for her, and Felice Herrig actually is doing all right. So Herrig by decision, maybe even a submission.
So wait,
All right.
Wes, were you Herrick too?
Yeah.
Man, we are really interesting this card, guys.
What have I been different for? So you've been all the same. I've been
You
different for a
you
couple.
were literally different on the Martin Case fight. That's it.
All right.
We have all picked all of however many fights this is that we have picked. They're all the same except for you picked Martin and we picked Case.
I suspect we're going to be different on not the co-main, but perhaps the main. We'll see. All right, co-main event time. Tim the Barbarian Bosch taking on Johnny Big Rig Hendricks, the former UFC welterweight champion. Bosch, of course, a long time middleweight. Tim Bosch, Johnny Hendricks, Jed. Who do you got here?
I talked to you about this earlier. I'm actually pretty interested in this fight just because Johnny Hendricks is not he's not a middleweight. I mean, I know he's going to compete the rest of his career at middleweight, but he is a welterweight who didn't do his diet right. By all accounts I've ever heard, he just was not ever as focused and committed to that as he needed to be in order to make the weight. So now he's fighting up a weight class where he will be absolutely tiny against a lot of people. And Tim Boach is one of those people. Tim Boach used to fight at light heavyweight. He is a true and honest middleweight, and will be substantially larger than Johnny Hendricks. And so we will see, Hendricks' last fight, his first foray into the 185 division, that was why can't I think of the dude's name? Hector Lombard. There we go. It's against Hector Lombard, who also was really a welterweight, but has competed a lot at middleweight. So the size difference wasn't really there. That fight was very close. I scored it for Johnny Hendricks, but some people scored it for Hector Lombard. But that fight didn't really give us what this fight's going to give us, which is Tim Boach is just going to be bigger, and we'll see how much just the sheer size of his person will create a problem for the former welterweight champion. I don't, I've talked about this before. My general rule is if you're an elite level fighter in a lower weight class, moving up will almost assuredly just help your game. At least as far as being competitive in the top 10, top 15 rankings of the division. I think we saw that. I think we see that with Kelvin Gastelum and his forays into the middleweight division. I just think middleweight's a softer division, and Johnny Hendricks, by virtue of being a better fighter, I'm picking him to win this. But Tim Boach, he has a tendency, a penchant for getting the upset. I think I remember he's got a ton of upset wins on his resume, and it's because of his particular brand of offense, which is violent and explosive and kind of comes out of nowhere. And so he can catch you. He can fuck your world up if you get caught napping. I'm interested to see if maybe he can just get Johnny Hendricks in a tie up and a clinch and just rough him up. Johnny Hendricks is stupidly strong. So, I don't know that he will be able to even get him in a clinch and kind of just control him with his physicality there, but I think it's possible. I genuinely think Johnny Hendricks is too small for the middleweight division, and not quick enough. Like Kelvin Gastelum is small for the division as well, but I do think that he has specific tools in being very fleet of foot with high hand speed that aren't kind of commiserate with Johnny Hendricks' game. So it's going to be a rough go for him, I think, in the middleweight division. I think Tim Boach might be a very tough test for him. I do ultimately think he's going to get the win just because he is a better fighter, but just like a better all-around fighter and technician. But I wouldn't lay these odds on Johnny Hendricks, not for a damn sight. So give me Johnny Hendricks by decision, but I would not be surprised in the least if Tim Boach managed to dirty this up and take it home.
Wes, Johnny Hendricks or Tim Boach?
I don't want to be repetitive.
Motherfucker.
I was hoping you were going to pick Tim Boach, but this is honestly another fight I've been back and forth on. And it's pretty much for the exact reason you said, Jed. I did see, though, Johnny Hendricks looks in the best shape that he has looked so far in recent memory. He looks like he's conditioned himself pretty well. But then again, that could be.
I feel like
we don't know how he
hold
can
on.
look.
So
go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. I feel like at least one person says every Johnny Hendricks fight says that Johnny Hendricks has looked the best he's ever looked. And yet, half of those times he misses weight. But at middleweight, you're probably right.
I feel like at middleweight, he did look great at welterweight, but that's when he was struggling. But now at middleweight, I feel like maybe he's kind of got himself into a position to where he's more comfortable with probably muscle mass and kind of the control of where he's going to balance it out a little bit better. Now that he's had some time to kind of adjust to being in this weight class. And just, I mean, it was already natural for him before, but now he doesn't have to worry too much about the cutting weight. So maybe he can gain a little bit of muscle mass and then focus on just cutting a couple pounds instead of trying to kill his entire body. So this, I think, could, as we saw in the Hector Lombard fight, maybe this is going to be a little bit better for Johnny Hendricks being in this weight class. But Tim Boetsch has powerful hands and has still been able to score some knockouts in recent memory when he doesn't get taken down. Ed Herman was the last guy, and Dan Henderson to knock him out. But besides that, he still showed some power. So maybe Boetsch can pull one off. But I think Hendricks still has the ability. I think he's just a little bit better of an athlete. And when I say a little, quite a bit more. I think he has just a couple more ways to win. I feel like if he just protects his chin, I don't know what will happen if he gets hit a few times, because I know sometimes we think, oh, if he gets hit a couple times, he'll quit. And maybe at the same time in this one, but I do think Johnny Hendricks will come back and probably get a decision victory in this one. And it would be cool to see him get a knockout again, because he does have and did have some pretty good knockouts back in his UFC beginnings. But I think Hendricks will get it done and by a decision.
Yeah, I like Johnny Hendricks here too. I haven't really gone back and forth. I think this is going to be a fairly clear-cut victory for him. Tim Boetsch, yeah, he's only coming off loss to Jacare, so that means nothing. But he just doesn't have tons and tons to in the tank left. While Johnny Hendricks is still a good fighter. He's lost a lot, but that's to top fighters. Kelvin Gastelum, Robbie Lawler, of course, maybe a couple others. And I think the move up the middleweight mostly is good for him. He's certainly undersized, and he's not going to be able to beat, say, the Luke Rockholds of this division. And if Tim Boetsch was a better fighter, I'd probably pick him, because he's just a large Johnny Hendricks in a way, but he's a lot worse than Johnny Hendricks. He has a knockout shot that maybe clips Hendricks, but Hendricks has a decent chin. I don't see Hendricks getting knocked out. And the only other way I see Boetsch winning is by clinching him and perhaps taking him down. But I don't really see. I mean, Hendricks, he's a good wrestler. He typically has decent wrestling defense as well. I could only see Boetsch, getting him in the clinch and maybe to the ground just because of his size and strength. But Hendricks is a strong fighter as well. So I just can't, find a path to victory for Boetsch that I'm confident in, besides, or that I see, even coming close to happening, besides, of course, some sort of not lucky knockout shot that clips Hendricks, say, behind the ear or whatever. I think Hendricks wins this fight all day. He's the better striker. He's, I guess the better wrestler. I mean, Boetsch, he's decent everywhere, but mostly just because he's so strong and powerful. So his strength sort of makes his wrestling better than it really is. Hendricks just all around is the better fighter. Unless he gives this fight away, I think he has this one in the bag. Give me Johnny Hendricks by unanimous decision. Moving on, we got the main event of the evening. Lightweights, number 6, Michael Maverick Chiesa taking on number 11, the Motown phenom himself, Kevin Lee. Jed, Michael Chiesa, Kevin Lee. Please say something different than Wes. Or I guess I should say that Wes. But anyways, Michael Chiesa, Kevin Lee, who do you got? What, Jed?
You're muted.
My bad, bro. Did you pick Hendricks in the last fight, Nick?
Yes, I did. I think Jed fell asleep for a few moments. I
didn't. I muted my mic when I left my computer for a second and forgot to turn it back on. I don't really care about this fight. I know that that's a horrible thing to say because it's two top 10-ish level lightweights, but I thought that the whole fight was stupid. I hate it. I hate the Conor McGregor effect on MMA. I don't care. I want people to be interesting, but I don't want people to be contrived. And I would prefer you be interesting by not being like an infant and be, oh, he said something about my mom. Oh, I'm going to come. Oh, I'm going to immediately try and punch you in the face in public. being an adult, it's not that hard to not hit people. I literally do it every day of my life. Like, it's super not hard to not assault a human being in public. And that turned me off on this fight in general. I had no idea at the time. I had no idea this fight was supposed to be a main event. I think it's laughable that this fight is a main event.
I think it's a really good idea.
Why?
Because you are giving exposure to up-and-coming guys.
I don't think that exposure is the idea of main events. I think the idea of main events is guys that are already established.
Michael Chiesa is number 6 in the lightweight division. I know that's a bit high, but
I mean established as in people give a shit about them. Like, dude, I think of this in terms of
this isn't for casual fans. But Chiesa Lee
if it's not for casual fans, put the motherfucker on Fight Pass. It's on FS1. Like, this shit is it's a good competitive fight. This fight is not a main event fight. I'm happy it's a main event fight because it's 5 rounds, and I think every grown ass person should be fighting 5-5s. But dude, this ain't a fucking main event fight. Nobody gives a shit about this fight. I work in this space. I've followed this sport for 10 years, and if I didn't ever see this fight, my life would in no way be worse for it. It's just
about it. I care about it. To prove your point wrong, I care about it.
You're like you and Michael Chiesa's mom. And I say that with all due respect because I don't want you to come choke the life out of me, Michael Chiesa. But like, it's just shit. I don't give a fuck about this fight, man. And it may
it's a fun stylistical matchup.
Stylistical is not a word.
Stylistic.
Dude, Michael Chiesa is not. I don't care about either of these guys. This is the problem. Like, they're not. Michael Chiesa is a bad fighter until he's a good fighter. And Kevin Lee thinks he's a way better fighter than he is, and likely will be a very good fighter because of the athletic underpinnings of his game, but is not there yet. And it's just, I just don't care. Like, I think Kevin Lee is a better fighter. Should probably win this fight, but I'm picking Michael Chiesa because Michael Chiesa is a stupidly good grappler, especially from back control. The dude tapped out Benil Dariush, who is, I can't overstate when I say that he is an amazing grappler. Like, this is a dude who, if he had stuck with competitive grappling, likely comes away with multiple belts, like multiple world titles. Just a sensational grappler, and Chiesa tapped that dude. His back game, his rear naked is ridiculous. Luke Thomas says all the time, some guys are black belts in certain positions, and Michael Chiesa is a black belt from back control. Kevin Lee he's a great athlete all around. He's got freaky long reach, which is great for him. Like, that's a product that usually is indicative of long-term success in MMA, actually. Powerful, explosive, quick, developing a technical game, a good, powerful wrestler, clean finishes. But like, he's not a great defensive wrestler, and I think he's gonna win for most of this fight until the moment he loses the fight. Michael Chiesa finds his way to the back, and then he strangles him and screams, "Don't you talk about my fucking mom!" And so, I think that's what's gonna happen. I think Kevin Lee should win this fight, but over 5 rounds, Michael Chiesa has even more of a chance to get there. And I just think he's going to strangle the dude out. Michael Chiesa, backpack for the win, submission round 3.
Wes, I can't type in the chat, so just say what you said in there. So what's the plan as far as you, Bellator?
Yeah, I'm gonna give my pick for this fight, and then I'm gonna give my DraftKings fight of the night, performance of the night for this card. But then I'm gonna let you all take it over. I've got a long day tomorrow, pretty much about 12 hours of work, starting at 7, and so I'm gonna have to peace out. But for right now, I'll go ahead and give my pick for this fight. Honestly, I don't really know what else to say. Unfortunately, again, my pick is the exact same as Jed's.
I hate you, Wes.
Wes
and I will tie.
I'll tell you this though, we will tie, but who has almost finished first every single week of picks? That'd be this guy. So pretty much you are riding along on my shoulders this week, so we got it covered, all right? And Nick, you're right there, but you picked one different, so it's going to be the deciding factor on that one, and maybe this fight too, but we'll see. So it's going to be a close.
Tony Martin is a gimme.
Are you picking Chiesa as well?
We'll find out in a few minutes.
If you are and Tony Martin wins, you'll be the pick winner. But if you don't, it'll be dependent on that. But we'll see. I'm gonna give my pick for this one. As I kind of already said, I'm going with Michael Chiesa, and it's pretty much the fact that Jed, you said it perfect. He's an unbelievable grappler and probably one of the best and crafty grapplers in the lightweight division. Some of the ways that he's able to pull off chokes and scramble and just find different positionings is pretty awesome. I don't know a better way to put it, but he's just so entertaining to watch. Certain ways that he's able to just kind of use whatever his opponent's going for. So let's say opponent's going for a takedown. We saw that with Beneil Dariush. Chiesa is able to reverse it, take Dariush down, which we probably didn't see coming, and Dariush tries to stand, and Chiesa snatches on a rear naked choke and gets the finish in that one. I see pretty much Lee coming in there being aggressive at the start, looking for those takedowns, probably being able to get those takedowns because sometimes Chiesa doesn't really have I wouldn't say he has decent takedown defense, but sometimes when he gets taken down, it's by the better wrestlers, and Kevin Lee is a fantastic wrestler. But I think Lee is going to exert a little bit too much energy kind of in the opening round, trying to make a statement because I think that's what he wants to do, that you can kind of tell from his personality. But then I think at some point in that second round, I think Chiesa is going to be able to do what he usually does, probably sneak his way out from a takedown, maybe be able, when they're standing back up to the feet, to get 2 underhooks, score some kind of double A probably, find Kevin Lee. And when it comes to wrestlers like that, I don't think Kevin Lee has really any credentials when it comes to jiu-jitsu. I don't know not black belt, but I don't know what belt he is. If you all know, feel free to pitch in. But one of the biggest mistakes wrestlers make are giving up their back and giving up chokes. And one of Chiesa's specialty moves is that rear naked choke. And I think that that's what we're going to see happen, especially maybe not in the first round, but as the fight goes on. So I'm going to be picking Chiesa. I have him picked by a second round submission. And I think he'll be able to stop Kevin Lee there in the main event.
Well, who do you think, Wes, I'm going to pick, Chiesa or Lee?
I'd assume you're going to pick Chiesa.
You were correct. Michael Chiesa is my pick. I would never risk not being the picks champion, because if Chiesa wins and Tony Martin wins, then I am the winner. But if I picked Lee and Chiesa won and Tony Martin won, we would all tie, and that'd be pretty sad. So I'm going Michael Chiesa, not just because for that reason, but I do think he wins this fight. Kevin Lee is more athletic. He is the better striker, but Michael Chiesa has a big advantage on the mat. He is one of the craftiest grapplers in the lightweight division. Tapping out Beneil Dariush, a very respected grappler himself, is very, very, very impressive. He hasn't fought since that fight, which was in April of last year, if I'm not mistaken. So it's been a little while, so I'm a bit concerned about the layoff. I know he was supposed to fight Tony Ferguson. That fight fell apart last summer, so he's been, he hasn't been inside the cage for a little while. So if there's ring rust, Kevin Lee might be able to get the win. You never know. Another thing, I feel like I have underestimated Kevin Lee the last couple times out. I've mostly been high on him, but I picked against him in his last fight against Ronaldo. That totally went wrong. Lee, of course, getting the stoppage in that one. But I'm going to do that again. I'm going to pick against Kevin Lee. I think Chiesa gets the tap-out victory here. He's too tough. He's too gritty. He's too scrappy for Kevin Lee, who I don't look at Kevin Lee and say, oh, that's, a super tough fighter with no due respect or anything. But I think, Chiesa can take shots on the feet. He can recover from, not great situations, so to speak. I like him over 5 rounds, especially if this does go 5 rounds. I think Chiesa, neither have been in a main event. I could be wrong about that, but I think both. Is this their first main event for both?
Oh, fucking no.
I'll say it is, but again, I could be wrong. I know Chiesa was booked for his Ferguson in the main event last year, but that didn't happen, as I said. But anyways, Chiesa, my gut feeling is he has slightly better cardio, or just over 5 rounds has more opportunity for success. I think he gets the tap-out win, as I said. The thing is, Chiesa's striking isn't bad, even though he doesn't have a single TKO or KO victory professionally. Lee has the advantage there, but the biggest advantage is Chiesa's submission ability and ground game. So I think that's where the fight plays out mostly. I like Chiesa to tap him out. I'll say the second round, although it could go later. So Chiesa, second round submission is my pick. Jed, I feel like I don't know what you're doing.
I'm not even sort of paying attention to you. All right. Well then, Wes, before you get on out of here, why don't you give us, I guess we should all do at this point, bonuses for this fight. Nick, let's change your pace since you are a coward and pick Chiesa. Actually, no, Wes, change your pace since you and I have the same fucking picks for everything. Maybe you'll be somehow different and give us your bonus prediction.
My guess is you both have the same DraftKings team. Calling it.
We'll see. There's definitely a possibility on that one since we all picked the same. But I'm taking a look. I'm going to give my 2 performances to Michael Chiesa. I think he'll be able to submit Kevin Lee. And I'm going to give my second one to let's go. I don't know. I'm going to pick Dominic Reyes, but he's not going to probably get one unless he gets like a 10-second knockout. My fight of the night pick is going to go to I'm going to go old school. Maybe Clay Guida comes back. I'm going to pick Clay Guida versus Eric Koch there in the lightweight division. But we'll see.
You didn't go Carlos Esparza.
I thought that was my runner-up.
Good. Should I go or Jed? Do you want to go?
What about you? Because I've got the winners this week. I'm on my premonition game. I'm gonna go 3 for 3 on this. I'm pretty sure.
You don't want me to copy you, of course.
Yeah, exactly.
That's fair enough. My fight tonight will go to Michael Chiesa and Kevin Lee. I don't see it going too long, but in 10 minutes, I think Lee makes it interesting enough until getting choked out. So that's my fight tonight. My performance is absolutely one goes to Dominic Reyes. Actually, fairly confident in that. Unlike Wes. My other one, this is tough. Tim Means, I think it's going to be late, so it's not going to be him. Penn, no. Eric Koch could get it. He really could. Marvin Vettori, he's going to grind this one out, maybe get a TKO late or on the grounds. Probably not. Carlos Esparza, no. Powell Horcher, don't even mention it. I'm going to go, this is totally out of left field, but I'm going to go Joshua Stansbury for my other performance.
Ooh, I almost thought about doing that because I'm very confident he taps out Kimball. So, but I'm sorry, guys. None of you are getting anything right. The fight of the night, pretty clearly going to be Alex Garcia, Tim Means. I expect that to be an action-packed, however long it lasts. So feeling real good about that. Although I will say Kevin Lee, Michael Chiesa, main events do seem to have an edge in that particular category. Performance of the night bonus. Look, man, we all know the truth of the matter. BJ Penn he's putting his stamp. Now starts the featherweight title run that we all knew he had in him. He's going to submit Dennis Seaver, probably with a diving heel hook, snatch up that performance bonus. And then also Clay Guida, he's washed. He's on his way out. Eric Koch is going to blast him in the face. That's going to be that. It's a wrap. Eric Koch, BJ Penn, those are your performance of the night bonus winners.
All right, DraftKings, let's go. Changing the pace. Jed, who do you got for DraftKings?
My DraftKings team reflects a lot of my performance of the night bonus winners. I got BJ Penn, which you can get for a song at $7,400. Eric Koch, he's expensive. He's $8,600. Michael Chiesa, I think he's tapping Kevin Lee, so I got him. He's $8,000. Tim Means, the most expensive guy on my team.
Wes has the same guys. This is hilarious. This is fantastic.
This is amazing. So Tim Means, $9,000. Johnny Case, like I said, I think he's going to beat Martin, and he's pretty cheap.
Oh,
is that different? Are we? Oh yeah,
that's different. I'm happy.
Josh Stansbury, I think he's definitely going to tap out Jeremy Kimball. The Johnny Case is the only one that might end up getting changed because after I made my team, I still have $500 in remaining salary, so I could dump Case and get somebody that costs $8,300 or less. But I haven't reviewed it too terribly much to consider who I would replace. Let's see what you got then, Wes.
Well, All right, so I'm going Michael Chiesa. I think he'll be able to stop Kevin Lee. I've got Eric Koch. I think he'll be able to put off a pretty good victory if he can over Clay Guida. Tim Means over Alex Garcia. I think he's likely for a stoppage in that one. I've got BJ Penn because I'm pretty confident he'll be able to defeat Dennis Seaver. I've got Joshua Stansbury because I think he can stop Jeremy Old Kimball. And then I really hope you don't change your pick, but if you do, you can change it to Felice Herring because Felice rounds out my DraftKings team.
Felice was the one I was looking at maybe changing to.
You can either leave it or keep it. If you want to go with me, we ride together.
I'm going to keep it. Because I have no confidence in Felice Herring to win, so I'm going to keep it. But that's incredible. 5 out of 6. Way to go, us.
And plus, we had all the same picks on the card.
But,
so we,
you guys don't realize this is just making it easier for me to win again.
It is. Because the only difference between me and Wes just comes down to whether Johnny Case outperforms Felice Herring. That's the difference in who wins. Which one of those two gets more points? Nick, what's your squad?
Well, I have Jeremy Kimball in my DraftKings team, so that's not a good start.
That's a terrible start. I think that's the one.
believe it.
We're kind of.
But,
you added Dominic Reyes to your team, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Ooh, I could cut Tim Means for Dominic Reyes.
That's a good pick. Don't do that because I want to win, but
I kind of want to cut Tim Means for Dominic Reyes now.
All right. I got Michael Chiesa.
I'm staying with my team. But.
All right. I got Michael Chiesa, the man, the myth, the legend, Jeremy Kimball, Eric Koch, Tim Means, Baby J Penn, and Dominic Reyes. Now, the thing with Kimball is that Josh Stansbury, he's decent. And I actually think he's going to get a performance tonight, which is funny that I'm picking him for performance and Kimball for DraftKings. But Kimball, he has a puncher's chance, and I picked a number of large favorites, and I needed a guy that was basically 7,800 or less. I think Kimball fit that, and I think he has some sort of chance. I think he has a better chance than all the other cheap fighters. So Kimball was on my team. The other ones other than BJ Penn, I'm confident in. I think Reyes gets a heck of a lot of points. Chiesa, even if that goes all 5 rounds, he's going to rack up a lot. Koch probably finishes Guida, and Tim Means, he always gets a lot of points. So that's my team. Wes, before you get out of here, do you want to real quick go through your Bellator picks, just names, or are you done?
Fire off your Bellator picks for us.
Yeah, I'll give the names that I'm picking real quick. The only fight that I was uncertain on, it's got to be the first fight that we got, and that's between Douglas Lima and Lorenz Larkin. But I'm going to go with my initial
fight that we have.
I thought that one was going to.
That's actually opening the main card, yeah.
No, but I thought we were predicting down to Gallagher Machida.
We are, but
okay.
He didn't.
I'll give my picks for that. So I've got James Gallagher. I'll read it slow if you're going to keep track.
Yeah. You're good.
I got James Gallagher, Phil Davis, Aaron Pico. I'm gonna go Lima because that was my first pick, but I'm not sure. I'll go Lima, Chandler, Fedor, and the American gangster Chael P. Sonnen.
Okay, we're going to be different, so that's good.
That's good. Yeah, not a lot of thinking on that one.
Bellator is different.
I guess. Yeah, I honestly didn't know. It was pretty much based off my heart. That's probably the best way to put it.
That's all I ever pick on, so you're good. I mean, I pick off my balls, but same.
I love it.
All right, Wes, before you get out of here, just let people know where they can find you and anything else you got to plug.
Yeah, sorry again, I have to peace out, but like I said, I got a long day tomorrow. You can follow me on Twitter at AllThatMMA. That's where I do all my social communication. You can also find some of my writing over at MMAsucker.com, where I do pretty much nothing besides talk about some fights suggestions to make afterwards. But besides that,
more than me, clearly. At least he didn't get kicked.
If I have time, yeah. Poor Nick got kicked out of our group chat because he hadn't read an article in 2 months. So,
more like 2 years, but
yeah, more like 2 years. But it's all good. Maybe I'll sneak you back in there. But gentlemen, it's always been fun. always like talking fights with y'all and hanging out with friends. So, fortunately, I got to go, but I appreciate you guys having me on the show, and we'll catch up hopefully probably in the Twitter world. But everybody else, thanks for
And
watching.
so what's going on next week? Do we
Peace.
have a card next week?
Fuck if I know, man. Probably.
Yeah, I think.
Dude, I think we're in a stretch of like an infinite number of them.
No,
It's
we
like
have
15 in a
I
row.
want to say we have a week break.
Oh
we have
yeah,
a week break.
but
And
then
then we
we've got
got
back for 7th, 8th, 16th, 22nd, 29th, 5th, and then we finally get to August 9th. So yeah, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 weeks in a row with 6 cards in those 5 weeks after we get a break.
And the next time we come back, we got a double header, back-to-back nights. We
Another
have
one? Fuck
yeah,
me.
Tough Redemption, which luckily it's stacked. I think it's a pretty set card. Johnson Gaethje in the headliner. And then the next night, we got Nunez,
that card is
Shevchenko,
fire.
Romero, Whitaker, Lawler, Cerrone. It's going to be a fun time breaking down the card.
That is pretty good. I will give it that. That's a
So
pretty
luckily,
good,
yeah, we'll probably have a doubleheader next week, but I'm looking forward to
2
it.
weeks from now, you mean?
2 weeks.
2
not
weeks?
next week.
Okay. I need a little break before we get ready for that because those 2 back-to-back days are going to be unbelievable. So I'm looking forward to that. But thanks again for having me on the show, guys. I'll let you continue with Bellator, and that's pretty much it for me.
All right. See you later.
Cool. Peace out, guys.
Peace.
All right. I can't believe we're like an hour and a half in and still have to talk the whole Bellator card, but let's do it. Let's do it fast. I said we were going to do UFC fast. We did not. We went the hour and a half that we usually do. So let's do Bellator fast, even though it's better than UFC. All right. So first fight of the fights we're going to talk about, not of the night, James Gallagher and Shinso Machida, the brother of Lyoto. This is kind of a tough one to call. A lot of people are going Gallagher. I know a couple people might be going for the upsets. Who do you have in this one?
I'm taking Gallagher. We talked about it on the MMA Circus, so check that out for that discussion. But basically, just Gallagher is much younger, and Shinzo Machida is almost 40. He's kind of finished product. Maybe he's a better fighter in general, but I like the idea that Gallagher can improve dramatically from fight to fight. I'm basically banking on the last iteration I saw of James Gallagher is probably not as good as Shinzo Machida, but I'm banking on him improving from fight to fight. The fact that Machida just has the ceiling and he's basically there. So yeah, just give me James Gallagher in a fun back and forth fight. I will say I think the odds are a little off here. Machida is a much bigger underdog than I think he probably should be, just because he's still a unique, funky style that'll be tough for a young, actually, you know what? Fuck it. Just might as well. I'll pick Shinzo Machida. I think, like, my gut says that James Gallagher is going to win just because, like I said, he's going to improve. But Shinzo Machida is, like I said, he's a funky style. Gallagher's a young guy. He's not going to be experienced to dealing with that sort of different look that Machida can provide him. So I think maybe just a little too much too soon. I'll give me Shinzo Machida just for the sake of being different at this point.
Yeah, I'm actually going Shinso Machida here as well. I don't really know why. I sort of am in the boat with you that Gallagher, he's a good fighter, but perhaps a lot of it is hype as well. And Shinso Machida, I mean, sure, he's 40 years old, but he's not really a shot fighter. I don't think he looked good. Who did he last fight? Wasn't it a quick win?
I
Maybe
don't
not.
recall off the top of my head at all.
Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't, but I recall him looking all right last time out. I'll go Shinso Machida just to change things up as well, but I mean, Gallagher could win as well. But yeah, Machida by decision, I guess, is my pick. Next up, we got the light heavyweight title is on the line. Champion Phil Davis versus Ryan Bader. Of course, 2 UFC vets. They fought each other 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, Stockholm, Sweden. That was the UFC on Fox card. I believe that was the co-main event to Rumble Gustafsson. Phil Davis, Ryan Bader, will it be better than their first fight, firstly? And who takes home gold? This is the headliner of Bellator 180, which, of course, comes before the Bellator NYC pay-per-view.
I think it's not going to be better if you didn't like the first fight, just because it's going to be 2 more rounds of it. In the first fight, I thought Ryan Bader won. I think since then, Bader has improved more. I think this fight's going to be close because I think Phil Davis, he's sort of that weird guy who can make fights, kind of has that Jake Shields quality where even though he's a pretty terrible kickboxer, when he's stuck on the feet, he can kind of just like throw leg kicks and sort of win rounds, despite he really shouldn't win the rounds. And so I think that can keep it close here. I think he can take Ryan Bader down, although I do think it's very difficult for him to do so. I think Ryan Bader probably won't be able to take Phil Davis down, but he can shoot and, create that uncertainty, make Phil Davis have to think about more stuff. But mostly I just think Ryan Bader's a better striker. He's definitely the more powerful striker. Definitely, he still has that huge, enormous right hand that can turn the lights off. So he's a threat at any point in time purely based off that. But he's also he's developed a good combination boxing game. And I think that's enough to win here. I think Ryan Bader should have had a title shot in the UFC. I don't think he would have won, but I think Ryan Bader should have fought Daniel Cormier for the belt, and then that never came to fruition because instead they gave it to Alexander Gustafsson for no real reason. And because of that, I think that precipitated his move to Bellator. I think he really wants to have a belt. I think he's going to get one. So Ryan Bader is going to win a decision. I don't think he's going to knock out Phil Davis, but I think he's just going to win more rounds than he loses. Probably 3-2, maybe 4-1 for Ryan Bader. Pretty close fight in general, though. But I think his volume, his combination boxing, his ability to mix things up a little more than Phil Davis, I think that's going to be the difference maker here. Ryan Bader by decision.
Yeah, I like Ryan Bader here as well. We agree yet again. It really comes down to the striking for this one because I think the wrestling is very close. Phil Davis is the better athlete, but that doesn't, Bader's striking advantage is more important than that as far as I'm concerned. Davis could take down Bader. Bader might get Davis down as well, but mostly this is going to be a fight on the feet, and that's a fight I think Bader wins pretty clearly. He has turned into actually a pretty good striker. He has more than just that right hand, so to speak. He actually, uses a jab. He has a variety of strikes. His couple fights ago, he knocked out Lil Latifi with a knee. That was pretty cool to see. I like Ryan Bader quite a bit here. Phil Davis, both guys are quite similar from when they fought 2.5 years ago. If I'm going to point out like the biggest change, Ryan Bader is probably just a bit better. So I like Ryan Bader. I like him by decision. It's just going to be 5 more rounds of not great action, but with Bader being a slightly better striker than before, maybe he makes it a bit more exciting, but probably not. We are talking about Phil Davis versus Ryan Bader. Again, not going to be too different. Ryan Bader by decision is my pick. All right, moving on, kicking off the Bellator NYC main card. I don't really know why this is first off, but it is welterweight championship on the line. Douglas Lima, the champion, defending his title for the first time since recapturing it with the knockout over Koreshkov last year. He's taken on UFC veteran Lorenz Larkin, who's making his Bellator debut. Really, really fun fight. This is going to be the fight of the night, almost guaranteed, and on paper, it's the best fight of the card. Jed, do you like Lima or Larkin?
This one is the one that gave me the most trouble of the whole weekend. I know Douglas Lima a little bit. I won't say that I know him or that we're friends, but he trains with the same camp that I train with here in Atlanta. He's around the gym a lot. He's coached a couple of classes I've been in. It kills me to do it, but I'm picking against him here for the sake of winning because I'm all about winning. Lorenz Larkin has looked sensational since coming down to welterweight from middleweight. I don't think he's lost a fight in the welterweight division. He lost to Albert Tumanov. I scored the fight for him, and I think he is an incredible striker. He's got really vicious low kicks. We saw him chew up Magny's legs with that. He is so quick, so technical, so powerful, and he works in combination well. Douglas Lima impressed me in his last go when he not his last go. His last go was the Koreshkov rematch, which was still impressive as well. Like he planted Koreshkov to avenge his only loss. No, because he lost to Ben Askren as well. But no, the Paul Daly fight. Paul Daly is a great striker, and Douglas just kind of dismantled him, took away that left hand, took away his weapons. I think Lorenz Larkin has too many weapons to take away in the same way Paul Daly had them taken away from him. I was surprised the UFC let Lorenz Larkin go. I thought this was a guy that they were going to develop for a title shot. And, I think that he can be competitive with absolutely any welterweight in the world. And I think he's going to beat Douglas Lima because I don't think Douglas Lima can get him down. I don't know that he'll look to get him down all that often, but I think he sort of needs to if he wants to win this fight. I don't think he can. And I think on the feet, Larkin's leg kicks are going to chew up Lima low. We're going to take some of the sting out of his punches, slow him down, and then make him an easier target for Larkin's combination work later. I hope I'm wrong. I hope Douglas comes out and puts the wood to him. I think this is going to be a sensational fight. I don't know if Bellator does performance bonuses for events like this. If so, I think very clearly all three of us would have picked Larkin Lima as fight of the night. I think it's the fight of the weekend, and this is clearly the fight I'm most excited about this weekend.
Yeah, I will agree with you that Lorenz Larkin takes this one and becomes a new champion. This is a striking battle. This is not going to the mat. And Larkin just has too many tools on the feet. He has kicks. Go back and watch the Neil Magny fight if you forget or don't believe me. Lima is more so, he's more of just a boxer compared to Larkin. Larkin has more tools, as I said. He's the more dangerous striker in a way. He's the craftier guy on the feet. He has a bit more precision. Although Lima is a very, very good striker as well. Good boxer. Larkin he's crisper. I think that's the word I was looking for. He's a bit crisper on the feet. He's sharper, and I think that comes into play. I mean, when we have this close a fight, and stylistically, we know this is going to play out on the feet. We have to look for the very small differences and very small advantages. And I think Larkin's precision and his craftiness on the feet really is the deciding factor for the most part. He's slightly more active. He's fought the better competition. I think Lorenz Larkin becomes the new Bellator champion here with a decision win. I don't think he finishes Douglas Lima. I don't think we see a finish. I think they go all 5 rounds. But, with their power, you never know. But I think this fight is going to go to the judges for sure. And I think Larkin takes it in a close, probably 48-47, maybe even 4-1. But Larkin by decision for sure. Moving on, we got a lightweight title fight between Michael Chandler and Brent Primus. Chandler, of course, being the champion. Primus is the challenger. Chandler is a huge, huge favorite here. Not really anybody's giving Primus much of a chance here, but I said it on the MMA Circus earlier that, even though I'm going Chandler and I like him quite a bit here, guys that have nothing to lose sometimes they don't just surprise, but they fight the best because they're fighting like they have nothing to lose. So maybe don't count out Primus, although I think it's tough to go against Chandler in this fight. I would assume you agree.
I think you should count out Primus. Michael Chandler is going to blow his fucking doors off. Look, Brent Primus could be a good fighter someday. He's sort of constricted by the fact that he's already 32, but he's had 7 fights, man. Like that's not enough. He's fighting Michael Chandler because Michael Chandler has cleaned out the division. I was going to say the UFC. Bellator wanted Michael Chandler to fight. God damn, why can't I think of his name ever? I did this earlier when we were talking on the circus. The dude who Pitbull just Fieri just lit up, Thompson. And I can't. Thompson, there you go, Josh Thompson. Josh Thompson was supposed to fight Michael Chandler. Like that was clearly the goals they were trying to set up. Best laid plans of mice and men get derailed by making actual fights happen, and now he's facing a guy with 7 fights, 7 wins. 2 of his last 2 wins are split decisions. Though, like his Bellator resume is 3 first round stoppage wins. All credit to him there against very middling opposition, and then 2 split decision wins. Against decent competition. Like Derek Anderson's a decent fighter. It's just this is way too much too soon. It's just because he has no one to fight. It's the Mighty Mouse syndrome. Michael Chandler, I hope after this they run back a Bendo fight for him or get him to move up in weight or takes another I guess he takes the Pitbull fight. So I don't know, man. Michael Chandler's gonna blow his doors off. I got him with the first round KO.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I want to make me believe this is somewhat close, just so we see a decent fight and ultimately, just have a better night of fights all around. It's not going to be Primus. This is way too early. He doesn't have too much experience. He's only 7-0.
Did you skip
Chandler's
the
one of the
Pico
better.
fight?
What's that?
Did you skip the Pico fight?
We did. Yes, we'll talk about that after.
Okay.
Primus is only 7-0. Not tons of experience. His last two fights weren't too impressive split decisions, if I'm not mistaken. Chandler has been blowing the doors off of his opponents for the most part. Benson Henderson, that was a bit close, but Chandler decisively won most, I think, anyways. Other than that, he knocked out Patrici real quick, and I believe whoever he fought before that. But anyways, I mean, it's going to be a quick win. Chandler knocks him out quick, I think. Maybe not, but I think that's the safe pick and pretty confident at that. Michael Chandler by knockout first round. And still, now the fight we were supposed to talk about a minute or two ago, Aaron Pico, newcomer to Bellator, newcomer to the sport, taking on Zach Freeman, who's 8-2. I believe he's coming over from LFA. Might be wrong, but I think he headlined one of the LFA cards. Aaron Pico, of course, as some people know, he seems to be, or he's being considered one of the hottest prospects in all of MMA history, even perhaps. Aaron Pico, Zach Freeman, Pico, I would imagine a fairly sizable favorite, although I've heard decent things about Freeman, so this could be closer than we perhaps think.
I mean, you can't feel confident here just because, like,
he's
who
0-0.
the fuck knows? Just who the fuck knows about Aaron Pico? He is. People I respect and trust say that he is the best prospect in the history of the sport. I tend to believe them just because his background is such that it pretends greatness in the sport. His youth, everything about him screams that this is a guy who could, hold belts down the line. That being said, he's still 20 years old. We've never seen him actually fight a human being in a cage. And it's a big step up. There could be a lot of things that derail that. You never know. I mean, Bubba, why can't I think of his last name?
Jenkins.
Bubba, who, what? Yeah, Bubba Jenkins. There you go. Bubba Jenkins he was an incredible prospect porting to MMA from collegiate wrestling, national champion wrestler. Was going to be awesome. Really hasn't washed out all that well. Think of Aaron Pico in the same terms. Aaron Pico is a guy who missed the U.S. Olympic team by the thinnest of margins. We talked about it earlier on the circus. I looked it up. Aaron Pico made it through the U.S. trials, the Olympic trials, got to the finals, won the first round, lost the second round, lost the third round on a tiebreaker after a 4-4 score. This kid was 19 years old and missed the Olympics by about as little as you can possibly miss. The guy he lost to was a NCAA national champion, placed fifth in the Olympics. Two of the guys he beat on his way to the finals of that trial were former NCAA champions, including one Dan Hodge Trophy winner, which is basically the Heisman of collegiate wrestling. And one of the guys he beat on the way was NCAA tournament finalist. This kid is 20 years old, and essentially, for the purposes of the layman, this guy's a national champion collegiate wrestler level of wrestler at 20 years old, competing in MMA with some bit of a boxing background, and apparently he has a lot of natural talent for hitting the mitts as well. This kid should, barring injury or him just deciding he doesn't give a fuck or him having a glass chin, this kid should be sensational. He is a phenomenal athlete. I'm happy he's in MMA because I would love to watch his progression. He's a little bit getting thrown to the wolves here, and that Zach Freeman is not some nobody that you should let him style on. I like developing prospects slow. I would put Aaron Pico on the next 4 Bellator cards against nobodies, just nobodies, so he can blow their doors off. He doesn't need to have tough fights to gauge where he's at. He needs just ring time right now. Just put him in the cage against warm bodies. Put him in the cage against me. It doesn't fucking matter. Just warm bodies to beat up for as long as they can stand it. That's how you develop somebody, I firmly believe. You don't do that forever, but you should develop him much slower than Zach Freeman is. That being said, Zach Freeman lost to Jake Lindsey. Jake Lindsey washed out of the UFC. I think Aaron Pico likely could compete against the lower levels of lightweight. Real talk, I wouldn't do it because I haven't seen him fight. I would strongly consider just in the dark taking Aaron Pico over Sage Northcutt, like right now. So, just because like he has the great equalizer and that he is an incredible wrestler. So I mean, keep your eye on this kid. I hope he develops into something awesome. I sort of hope he gives up MMA because, you know, in my head, I still feel like the Olympics are a big deal and he should chase that dream. And I don't know if he'll be able to functionally pursue an Olympic gold while, you know, doing this. But do what makes you feel good, I guess. Aaron Pico wins by decision.
Yeah, I think Aaron Pico takes it again. I know what everybody else does know. He's a fantastic wrestler. He's a Golden Gloves boxer. All around seems to be a very good fighter, but he's 0-0. He's only 20 years old. You know, does that transfer to MMA and does he do really well right off the bat? We don't know. Sometimes prospects hit it right off the mark. Right off the bat, they look really good and they develop into something great. And other times it's the opposite. So you can't be confident in an 0-0 guy. And especially when their competition is actually decent. Zach Freeman's actually a decent fighter. He's not a nobody. He's not a can. He should lose. That's Zach Freeman. Aaron Pico should win. But he's 0-0. How confident can you really be? Yes, he's a great wrestler. He seems to be a decent striker as well. But again, you don't know. So that's sort of my take on this. I gotta go Aaron Pico. He seems to be the hottest prospect, you know, alive right now. But you know, sometimes the nerves get to you. He's only 20 years old. Maybe he's not ready. Maybe he's focused on or mentally not there and focused on the Olympics or something else. Who knows? We'll know a lot more about Aaron Pico come Saturday or after Saturday. But right now, it's like, sure, I'm picking Pico because he's apparently really good at what he does. But how confident can you be? Not that confident. So that's my pick, Pico. I don't even know how. Next up, we got the co-main event of the evening: Fedor Emelianenko taking on Matt Mitrione, arguably the greatest, taking on the meathead, UFC heavyweight veteran. Fedor and Mitrione, are you going to make everybody sad, or are you going to go Fedor?
I'm picking Fedor because, like BJ Penn, I'm on this hill. I'm going to die here. I don't suggest anyone else does. Matt Mitrione should win this fight by all logic and reason. Fedor is washed. Matt Mitrione, you know, is a very beatable guy. Let's not pretend like he's not, but he's much bigger. Similar levels of quickness to Fedor, powerful striker. He should just draw Fedor. Like that's how this fight should end. At the same time, if Fedor lands a big hand, you know, that big casting overhand punch, if he lands on Matt Mitrione's done. And if he wants to take Matt Mitrione down and takes him down, I think that on top, he should be able to beat the shit out of Matt Mitrione. I'm picking Fedor because I'm here. Like this is the world I'm in. I'm just gonna go down with this ship, and that's. I don't suggest anybody follow me or tail me with money, but this is my world. This is my room. I'm living in it. I think Fedor lands the first punch, and it's enough to get the fight done. I hope, because I don't want to watch another legend get beat by a guy who's not good. That's it. Fedor, KO, round 1.
I have to be the person that makes everybody cry and go Matt Mitrione, the meathead here. You know, the thing with Fedor is that this is in some ways kind of similar to the Fabio Maldonado matchup that happened last year, and that didn't go so well for Fedor. He got the win, but it was overturned. And even though it happened overseas, it was quite the bad decision. And yeah, so it got overturned to a draw or no contest. I don't recall. But when it gets overturned, and the fight was in Russia, correct? I think so. When it gets overturned in Russia and it's a Fedor win, that's not good. That means it's a bad decision. Matt Mitrione is bigger. He's more athletic. He doesn't hit as hard, but he's all around in 2017 the better fighter and should beat Fedor. But he doesn't have great wrestling defense, and Fedor is obviously a very, very good grappler. Even arguably to this day, Fedor gets him down, he could very easily win this fight. And if he gets on top, he should win and be able to pound Mitrione out. But I'm not confident that that'll be his game plan after seeing the Fabio Maldonado fight. Fedor should have done that to Fabio Maldonado. He didn't really. It was mostly a stand-up affair. And if this is a stand-up affair, I don't think Fedor gets ragdolled, and I don't think he gets beat up badly. But I think he simply gets outpointed by Matt Mitrione. Matt Mitrione, as I said, very athletic, quick on his feet, one of the lightest, best, he has some of the best movement in the heavyweight division. So his striking is actually decent as well. So Matt Mitrione by decision is my pick. But a Fedor win would be quite superb. Main event time, Chael Sonnen, Wanderlei Silva, finally happening. Silva hasn't fought since his win over Brian Stan, which is ridiculous. Now that we're, Brian Stan is.
That's insanity. That is crazy.
Yes. So Wanderlei Silva, his last win is over a current UFC commentator. Chael Sonnen, his last win is over who? I don't remember.
Anderson Silva?
Next.
Shogun. It's got to be Shogun, right?
Maybe. I don't even know. All right, Chael Sonnen, Wanderlei Silva. Who do you got here?
I mean, I'm picking Chael because, dude, Wanderlei hasn't fought in 10 years. And yes, Chael's last win was over Shogun Rua. That is insane. That was in August of 2013. So that means Wanderlei's last fight was
May of 2013.
Was March of 2013. March. So they both won around the same time. Honestly, their most recent victories. Yeah, man. Wanderlei Silva has never been a superb defender of takedowns. In Pride, he got away with not being a great defensive wrestler by not facing a lot of wrestlers. And when people would take him down, he would kind of hold, and they'd give yellow cards and stand people up. Rampage, famously a victim of a questionable stand-up, a Pride era Wandy stand-up. And that ain't going to happen here. Chael's going to take him down, and the round's going to tick away to conclusion. Chael's going to take him down 3 times. Going to punch him in the head a whole bunch of times until the round's over, and that's it. I don't think he gets a stoppage. I think Wanderlei's best chance here is either a knee on a time into Chael shot for a knee, which Chael's been pretty good about avoiding when he's actually shooting for his takedowns, or locking up some kind of choke. Chael is not a great defensive grappler in general. We've seen him get tapped time and time again from top position. So, but I just don't think it's the case. I think Chael's going to beat up Wanderlei. If this was 5 rounds, I think Chael would probably get a stoppage. That being said, I guess I'm just going to pick by decision. But if Chael got a late stoppage, I wouldn't be surprised here.
My pick here is Wanderlei Silva just because I don't know. Both guys haven't won in 4 years. Wanderlei hasn't fought in 4 years. Chael's been very inactive as well, obviously. His last fight was earlier this year. Submission to Tito Ortiz. The loss, of course. Really weird loss. Anything can happen in this fight. So if you're confident about any sort of result, you're probably wrong. Or just don't know what you're talking about. I can't say Wanderlei Silva is going to knock him out and be confident. I can't see Chael Sonnen's going to win, grind him out and be confident. Literally with Wanderlei Silva and Chael Sonnen, anything could happen, and I'm not going to be surprised. So my pick is Wanderlei via starching quickly. Do I have a reason? Not really. Chael Sonnen seems to be the type of guy nowadays, if he doesn't get something early, it's just kind of over for him. He sort of, blows up, whatever. Wanderlei Silva does what Wanderlei Silva does, rushes forward, bang, bang, bang. Chael Sonnen down to the mat. Fight is over. Wanderlei Silva wins. Can I say any more? I don't think so. Wanderlei Silva TKO first round for me, but Chael Sonnen, if he grinds off Wanderlei Silva, the only thing I can say is that I was wrong. But am I surprised? Not at all. So this is, this is a freak show, and I can't wait. So that does it for Bellator 180/NYC. Just go back to our picks. How many are we different on? Two, I guess, the main and co-main.
In Bellator or in the UFC?
Bellator.
In Bellator, you and I both have Machida. Wes has Gallagher. You and I both have Bader. Wes has Davis. You and I both have Larkin. Wes has Lima. All three of us have Pico. All three of us have Chandler. Me and Wes have Fedor. You have Mitrione. Me and Wes have Sonnen. You have Silva. So there's actually a decent bit of diversity in these picks.
Alrighty, well that does it for Bellator NYC / 180. Thank you guys for watching as always. Any last words? If not, not sponsors. I hope actually that'd be cool if you had a sponsor, but I don't think you do. Social media, your writing, podcast, anything else you'd like to plug?
Follow me on Twitter at JedKMeshew, JedKMeshew. Everything, my podcast, everything you'll find off there. I write for MMAfighting.com. Give that a check. We're the best site in the business.
But below Bloody Elbow, of course. And I
hope I see Bloody Elbow winning no awards for best MMA site.
Next year. I do hope that Nike sponsorship it will be coming your way very shortly. All right, you guys can find me. What's that?
I'm more an Under Armour guy.
All right, fair enough. You guys can find me on the Twitter at Nick Baldwin MMA. Changed that today. Was Nick UFC, no longer that. Nick Baldwin MMA. Go follow me. You can find my writing over at bloodyelbow.com. School is over as of today, so I will be back in the MMA grind writing-wise with a lot of stuff. I might have a couple articles to cap out June. If not, look for July. I'll have a lot of stuff, of course. And all throughout the summer and the rest of the year. You can find my other podcast I hosted with Andrew Lawrence and with Jed Meshew, half and half. It's called The MMA Circus. We just put out episode 1. Well, it's not actually out. We recorded episode 116 of the show featuring welterweight champ for Bellator Douglas Lima. That'll be out tomorrow sometime. Don't know if that's the morning or the afternoon, but it will be out tomorrow. So go check it out before Douglas Lima defends his title against Lorenz Larkin on the card we just talked about. Thank you guys for listening as always. For Jed Meshew, Wes Riddle, I'm Nick Baldwin. Enjoy the fights.
Love you guys.